Hey guys, Dislitter Magic here, and it is November 1st, and you already know what that means. I am absolutely shit-faced on candy. This isn't a particularly short video, so I'm probably going to be puking up candy corn in between takes. I live for Discount Candy Day. You know what I like even more than candy? Just kidding, that's a massive exaggeration. Lore about Ixalan. So since we're kind of between storylines, the wonderful R&D narrative team put together the Planeswalkers Guide to Ixalan, Part 1. I bet you in Part 2 it's just going to be pitching timeshares and trying to convince you to buy travel insurance. So hopefully this fills in some gaps in the lore here, because I had a lot of questions about like sequences of events and seemingly contradictory statements made by, well, mostly the Merfolk, and they actually clear up that right away. They say unequivocally the Merfolk hold legends in their lore and their history states that they were here on Ixalan, or at least the plane, because Ixalan is the name of the continent, before the first humans step foot there. It does say that they don't know where the humans came from, just that they remember them showing up, I guess. I guess they didn't, ask? Now, as far as humans showing up, do they mean the continent of Ixalan, or do they mean the plane? Because a large group of people traveling between planes, that's not unheard of, but not common. I mean, the only other example I know of is Ravnica, and honestly, I don't think they ever really explained that one. So they say for a long, long time the Merfolk and humans lived together in relative peace. And then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Hope you guys love Avatar memes. So apparently, actually, the humans and the Merfolk worked together to make that overpowered, overpriced card, Growing Rights of Itlamok. Okay, not literally the card. The Forest of Itlamok, I believe they called it. Yeah, that's what it was. So they called it the Cradle of Sun's Abundance and used some kind of whoop-de-doo, like 12-person magic, as seen on the card, to, do some kind of vegetation fertility thing on the land. And I assume that grew a bunch of jungles, which is why it's jungle-rific. Seriously, though, if you're going to do jungles, where are the monkeys at? They wasted a perfectly good opportunity to add monkeys, and I can't get past that. So we've all been wondering, based on how it moves and how it looks and how it's different than everything around it and how it looks like Kaladeshian architecture, sort of, maybe, is Araska a giant spaceship, or is it a planeswalking machine? Is it a vehicle? Is it basically a ship? It would seem no, because they say before the Sun Empire, human civilization arose in several city-states scattered across the continent. One of the city-states, Araska, gradually rose to prominence over the others thanks in large part to the charisma of its cunning ruler, Chakanto Intli. So it would imply that either they magically found it and moved in, or they built it. And it kind of sounds like they built it. So no, they just built it. I mean, it's not a magic flying saucer spaceship thing. That's actually kind of disappointing, but it would have been a little out there even if it was. It just would have been a really cool story twist. I'm not completely ruling it out though, so let's just say that. So Araska and Intli started kind of, getting everybody together saying, hey, can I be your ruler? Okay, cool. They just were like uniting and trading and just, the average thing that would happen in actual like human history. Like a city becomes big because they trade with everybody, the population booms, and they kind of get rudimentary technology. And so then the Merfolk, I guess, saw it and they were like, hey, we should do that too. So they built what sort of equated to a city, which really was not their thing. Like, they didn't live in villages or anything. They just like straight up lived in the forest. Apparently not a whole lot survived from that. The deep root tree, which we heard about, is one of the surviving remnants of one of their ancient cities. And it sounds like there really was only one major city that they built. So where did the immortal sun come from? Because it's such a powerful artifact or weapon or whatever it is. Where was it created? Was it brought in from another plane, which was word for word suggested by at least one, if not two people in the storyline? It would seem maybe. I guess they don't want to give it away, so the exact phrasing that they put is generations later, a new ruler set his sights higher. Emperor Epatzek Intli, which is, by the way, they named one of the cities after him, was gifted the immortal sun in a fateful encounter and vowed to conquer the Merfolk and raise the jungles. So somebody gifted it to him from somewhere. So it could be from another plane. It could have been like a visitor. It could have been a god or a celestial we haven't heard about yet. So he didn't just find it and he didn't build it. So it still very much could be from somewhere else. And I think it probably is. So how powerful is it? Because everybody's been wondering that. Like, what does it literally do? Like, what are its stats? Like, show me its MMO breakdown on a graph. Should I equip it to my paladin? Yes. It says he wielded the immortal sun without any wisdom or restraint. Hey, I know a lot of people like that. Devastation and ruin followed in his wake, and the immortal sun was taken away and gifted to the river heralds, who vowed to keep its location a secret even from themselves. So the humans that made the Aztec Empire, I guess we'll just say, I forgot what they call it, the something sun, I don't know. Oh my gosh, I should have called it the Sunshine State. Ooh, or Atlazan. Anyway, so yeah, I guess some idiot misused it, and then somebody gave it to the River Heralds. It might have been the Celestial Being, but they said that he or she grabbed it from the vampires who, like, when one guy tried to steal it from their own temple. So I guess that happens later. I probably should just read ahead. So apparently the destruction and the bad leadership led to just a handful of cities being left, mostly on the coast. So the Sun Empire, as it's apparently properly called, but let's just go with Sunshine State, they just founded a new capital called Pachatupa, where I believe they are now in the story. So very recently, in fact, I think this is the current, I don't know, president we'll go with. I'm not that up on Ixalan politics. So the current president of the Sunshine State is, oh wait, no, I'm going to go with governor. So the current governor of the Sunshine State, Apatzek Intli III, kind of started working with the other remaining cities a little bit more. They really pushed hard against the pirates, and they decided to focus on expansion, which, yeah, I mean, it sounds like they've been doing that for, I think, like around 10 years, if I recall what the story said. So they decided, hey, you know what would be cool to have back? Orazca and the Immortal Sun. So they started, looking for it, obviously, and kind of pushing into the jungle and exploring and that sort of thing. So initially, Governor Apatzek did not think that the Immortal Sun was real, and if it was, he didn't think they could find it, but Huatli was like, yeah, I think we could. So he's like, yeah, go for it. So he put her on that mission, which, you guys remember that. So they go into more detail in here about the Sunshine State. They have a really big army. They're separated into like 2 temples. They're led by 7 major generals, I guess you would say. And they use rounded blades on their weapons because it's the same shape as the sun. Did I mention I don't like these people? These are the same people who equate poetry and talent with words with like military prowess and warrior capabilities. I legitimately hope their entire empire gets destroyed by the end of the story, and I'm going to be so mad if it doesn't. This society does not even function at a basic level. Just everything they do is illogical, and nothing makes sense, and their culture is awful, and their leader is terrible. So it's basically Australia. You thought I was going to say Russia. Nope, too easy. I mean, if you want me to go on, Kaparakti is one of the generals, and he wears a bright, shiny, polished helmet because it reflects the sunlight. Not because of its protection level, not because it can take a strike from a blunt weapon and a sharp weapon. No, because it's pretty and it reflects the sunlight. Okay, that's who we're dealing with here. That's the level of intelligence and planning. If you read between the lines and try to extrapolate what they're saying about the lore and why they're saying it, I would have to guess that the Immortal Sun is going to be an enchantment or an artifact in the next set. Obviously, it's going to be a mythic. More than obviously, it's going to be legendary. That's just from the storyline, basically. And it might cost white, green, and red mana to get out and be unbelievably recurringly destructive. I have a feeling it'll have like a tap ability that damages creatures or opponents, and also will give like just a field boost to everything, like a +3 attack like forever or something. Just reading like about their religion and the Awakening Sun, the Verdant Sun, the Burning Sun, and this kind of stuff and what it does, I think that's maybe what it'll be, but it's a bit of a long shot to speculate. I'm gonna do it anyway though. In fact, I just did. So there's some other really cool background details, like the Merfolk drove the Sun Empire, the Sunshine State, out of like the center of the island. Oh, and by island I mean continent, but what's the difference? So they're all into like nature and the jungle and water and rivers and all that crap, and that's where all their like magic and mana comes from. So that's like their stronghold. It makes sense. So they're all like, oh, nature, balance, yay, the more nature the better. So they're trying to like drive out the invaders as they see them. So are the Merfolk a unified force that are going to stand against the Sunshine State? No, they bicker among each other and basically play King of the Hill / Capture the Flag with the Prime Territory, which is the source of the 9 different major rivers. So I don't really like the pirates, and the vampires are a bunch of lunatics. I really hope that whole Star of Extinction thing happens in the storyline. The flavor text distinctly says that it is going to happen in the future, not this happened in the past. So I say burn down the jungle, scorch the earth, and destroy all 4 of the major groups, because I really don't like any of them. By the way, the 9 major shapers / shamans / whatever they want to call them in any given paragraph, because they dance around between the 2 terms, of the Merfolk are Tishana and Kopala. We know them. Kumena, that's the hyper-aggressive one. And then the rest we haven't heard about are Pashona, Vuhana, Mitika, Notana, Falani, and Tuvasa. Pretty cool names. I have a feeling we'll probably see them on some cards. So the River Heralds use these really cool things that are like totems, and they look just like, oh, a statue, cool. But they're supposed to like warn people to stay away, and if somebody gets too close or tries to basically walk past it, boom, security alarm goes off, basically, and it turns into a full-fledged golem or elemental or both. And it might have one of 3 different elemental bases, but either way, it is formidable. But since they're so hard to build and enchant, there's not enough to really truly act as like an ultimate defense against an actual army, but it's still something. So that's it for part 1. I can't wait to read part 2 because a lot of my questions got answered. But they did purposely leave some things vague, and I appreciate that. Like the actual true origin of the what do they call that thing? The immortal sun. But yeah, this is like a perfect background to get people a lot less confused before we start reading the, second half of the entire storyline, I guess you would say. And honestly, I'm more excited about the storyline than I am about the set. So yeah, should be pretty awesome. So leave your craziest speculations down in the comment section, and I'll see you guys next video.